So at the moment I'm here with quite a bunch of our students, which is awesome. You will have a great opportunity to ask them a lot of questions if you want to ask anything that you're interested in. So I will take it from the right because it's probably nicer to start with a lady. So here we have Katrin, Tobi, Alina, Gautham, Veronika, Niklas, Ali, and Marwan. You will see more of Marwan in one of our videos, so you will have a closer look later on. What we want to do today is, now we have introduced ourselves. My name is Pavla. I will be in the videos as well, so don't be sad that you don't see me right now, but I have to manage everything from behind the scenes. And we will also welcome the Vice Dean for Study Programs in English, Professor Rudolf, who is currently teaching, unfortunately, but will join us for the second half of the meeting. At the beginning, we will start with study programs and admission, but before we do, let's talk about the options you have in terms of asking us questions. Either you're watching on Facebook, where it's fairly easy, you can just use the chat, and we will try to engage you via some questions there too, from our side. Then you may be watching via Instagram. There you can just drop it into the feed there. And if you're watching via MS Teams, you have there an instrument that is called questions and answers. It's little bubbles with question marks. Those you can use to drop your questions. Then I will publish all of them and we will answer them when we get to the discussion part. We will have a short discussion part after each session, after each video. The videos mean to give you some brief overview, to give you the basics, and then afterwards we will get a little bit more into the topic by discussing it amongst ourselves and answering your questions. The topics for today, as I mentioned, are study programs and admission, entrance examination, then we will introduce general medicine as a study program, and dentistry. Then we will talk about the benefits of studying in HK, in Hradec Kralove, and that's the video Why Our Faculty. And then the last video will be students and student organizations, just so you have an idea what to expect and what questions to prep. Then in between those videos we will have short discussions, and at the end we will hopefully conclude everything and have a bigger discussion of whatever you want if we do not cover everything that you're interested in. Alright, that is for the introduction, and let's start with the first video. When it comes to the entrance examination, we will have more details. We have just managed a few details in the first video as well, how many subjects you have to study, how many questions you have there, and how the marking goes. And now we have prepped a video with our authors of the questions, which is something that you guys probably did not have before you applied. Yeah. But we have actually something like that for Czech students when we introduced like the admission process, and we thought that it would be nice to hear from the authors of the questions in English as well. So they have prepped a short overview of what the questions are phrased like, and what the test looks like, and the topics. And quest for you will be, once you're listening to it, to pick up your experience with the test and how you are preparing for the test, because the preparation is important, to give those guys who are watching right now some tips as how to go about it. Whether, for example, your high school education was enough or you had to do a lot extra, whether you have taken a preparation course or not, what books you have used, whether you knew that we have recommended literature, whether you have worked with the test from the past years, stuff like that. Yeah, so we will get into that after we're done with the video. Now let's move on to the next video then. Alright, so that was entrance examination, and I bet that you guys, how was it watching it as students now, huh? I bet it must be something, such a throwback, you know, to...
It's definitely something.
It sounds more scary than it is in the end.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Especially the physics part.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, well, that's scary.
Right?
It sounds really scary.
It's just scary.
But like, yeah, it's a good thing to, you know, remind our applicants that it's not so scary, it's not that bad. It's just like, as Professor Hanush mentioned, you should probably calculate a few things. You shouldn't, you know, sometimes if you do not do it during your last high school years, you can be a little bit rusty with calculations, so it's recommended to look into it a little bit before the entrance examination itself. But how about your experience? How was the test? How was the preparation? Can we take it from maybe from the left, from Marwan? Just like, how did you prep for the examination itself?
For my high school education, I did A levels. It prepared me quite well for the test, but there was some knowledge which was not covered by my course, so I substituted that by the recommended literature, and it seemed to work out fine in the end.
Okay. Cool.
For me, I had IB system of high school education, so I also had IB chemistry and IB biology. So I was fine from that level, but what helped me a lot is doing the practice exams. I felt like I was super prepared when I did the test because I felt that it's really familiar, and I think in my year that many questions were some questions, not many, but some were repeated. So I think this will really help you.
Okay, so you prepared with the example tests that we have on the web.
Yes, and from these tests, I was going back to my textbooks and I was checking something similar, same topics. I focus on these topics because, if they ask about meiosis in the test, I will check my mitosis. I will make sure that I know all these steps because it's something similar. They might ask about a different step, about different, something similar but on the same topic.
Okay, that's what we try to recommend as well, checking out the tests that we have on the web so the students have an idea about the way the questions are asked. It was mentioned in the video as well, and about the topics that we focus on.
Yeah, exactly. You check the question and go to the topic in the textbook and understand all the idea of it. I think it's the best way to approach.
Yeah, I basically did similar as Ali did, but also I did a preparation course with an agency in Germany, from Germany, and the course was in Alicante in Spain. Nice. Why so ever it was there in Germany as well. But I did that, and then mostly I think I studied with the SAT books.
All right.
Okay, so for me, my biology level, the knowledge from secondary school, was basically enough. But for chemistry and physics, it was a weak point for me. So what I did, I also took the recommended literature from the website, and also looked at the topics and the last exams. And then I asked chemistry students and physics students to help me, and I basically managed it and practiced also with the past tests. Yeah.
Cool.
For me, I went to an Indian school with an Indian curriculum, and towards the end, the syllabus was pretty much sufficient to attempt the entrance exam. The only differences were that I wasn't too used to using a calculator for the equations and things, and that was a bit difficult for me, so you should practice using a calculator, or you can not, but it would save you a lot of time. And also I struggled a little bit with physics, but what helped me was really understanding the format of the test. And I think the negative marking, you don't really understand how much of a difference it makes, because you might be 50-50 on a question, and sometimes you might do better leaving that question rather than attempting it and getting a negative mark. So I would definitely, like Ali said, mostly focus on your sources, compile all your sources, and then once you find out the format, what repeats usually for the tests, then use your actual school sources and any other complementary sources to study those topics more. Because in an entrance exam, certain topics need to show up because it's biology, it's physics, it's all these subjects that have some marquee topics that you need to know really well. So I would say the format of the test and calculator, if you're not used to using one for your school exams, and the sources like Ali said, you should be fine.
Agreed. We will sum it up at the end. Do you have any other experience, Alina?
I also did a preparation course, and I did really bad in physics in the entrance exam. I remember that. But
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
I'm bad about that.
But biology and biochemistry was for me really good, so this is okay, like this balanced it out, and in the end I actually got a good result, and I was actually surprised about that. But yeah, in the end, like the video really sounded scary, but in the end it's totally fine.
Oh, we didn't mean to do that, but we just wanted to, relay some insights to let them know what it's about, to let them know the most tricky things about the test. Because as you say, it's in the end, it's not that difficult or that scary, but you know what you have to know what you're up against. That helps a lot. So that's why we're discussing it as well.
Yeah, and the repetition is really important, like especially for biochemistry, also like the equations, and also for biophysics, like just repeat as often as you can, and then should be fine.
And also don't underestimate the language, because some of the elements, they have a different name in English than in your mother tongue maybe, or some of the naming of structures and so on. Just make sure you study maybe towards the end with an English source, so you get used to these words, and just train your brain to be in the language. Otherwise, it will be quite a big that change when you suddenly have an English paper in front of you.
That's quite true. And there's some Latin terminology as well in there, so be careful that you had that during your high school years. And language is important. It might not seem as obvious, so it's a good thing to point out that if you're not studying in English already, then you should definitely practice the specific language that will be awaiting you in a test. What about you, Tobi? Do you have any?
What I could also add is, like, many people do many different entrance exams. Mm-hmm. So in total you have a pool of many questions anyways. They're all rather similar. Like, I did like the ones in Prague as well, so like they don't differ like very, very much. Yeah. So you can add on that. That also helps do all of them work as much as you can.
That's true. That's true. A lot of students will be sending out applications to several faculties, not just to Czech Republic, elsewhere too, but within Czech Republic, even different faculties. So it's good to, first of all, check out the conditions for each of the faculty, because the style of the question and the marking system may differ. As you guys mentioned, the negative marking can mess up things a little bit for you. That's what I mentioned in the video. Just do not tick. Mark only the answers that you're absolutely sure about. Go through the question, sort of selective thinking. Just like exclude the options that are absolutely not possible, and then think only of those that you deem plausible, or that could be the result, and then decide whether you're sure enough to put it in, or whether you don't want to risk it and lose a quarter of a point, and you just leave it empty, because then quite a lot of people end up with negative marking altogether, and it's messy. It's just something to keep in mind. We have also slightly touched the way the questions are phrased, they are put. Sometimes it's a matter of giving 4 different statements, and you have to say whether A and B are correct, or all of them are correct, or none of them, right? So that's also the kind of thinking that you have to engage in while writing the test, to make sure that you understand the question properly, that you know what is asked of you, whether you're picking just one obviously correct answer, or you have to choose from possibilities that are available for that particular case.
And also during your studies, negative marking will come back. So in first year in histology, you will have negative marking. In the mini test, you will have every week. I think twice every week.
Once, I think.
Once? Anatomy was twice. think. Okay, so but there will be negative marking and also in pathophysiology.
Yeah.
There will be negative marking.
Yeah, a lot of that is preparing you actually. Come again?
It's a little bit more strict negative marking in pathophysiology, but you.
Yeah. Don't scare them, just say.
It's not too early.
But it's easier in the entrance exam.
One step.
Katrin wanted to add something?
I think if there's one thing I underestimated when I was preparing for the entrance exam was the help of these like sample questions that you have on the internet or from other universities. I think it makes it such a big difference if you go through them and if you really practice them. I looked through them and I was like, oh yeah, I kind of know, I could answer this, you know, I kind of understand the system or like how they ask questions. I really work through them. It makes such a big difference. It really gives you a very good idea of what to look at, you know, what material you should go back and restudy. Like, I think I really, if I did this properly, I would have felt much better prepared. So if there's one thing I would recommend you to do is really work through those sample questions.
Yeah, that's true. We don't have like some of the faculties are publishing like whole books of sample questions from previous years. We don't have that. We usually put up the test from the last year, and that's the sample for you. But it's a real test that the students have gotten, so you know that the questions are legit, and that's something that you can follow and work with. Also, you guys. Each of you comes possibly from a different high school educational system, so you are used to different system of tests, maybe different system of thinking when doing the examination. So it's really good to check that out to know that you what you will be facing, what's coming out with the test, and its form. That's what Gautham mentioned already, that it's good to keep the form of the test in mind as well. And then the calculations, you know, you will have some calculations there, and that shouldn't be the time where you see, that shouldn't be the first time you see your calculator. You should definitely know how to go about it. So we had some pretty amazing insights on that from you guys, I think. We have here questions just general for the study programs themselves. How long they are, how much annual fees. We will mention that in the upcoming videos, so be patient, you will get the answer. How many years? General medicine, 6 years, dentistry 5, but it will also be included once again later on. And when it comes to teams, do we have any questions that we have not covered yet? Is there a sport facility, specifically a gym? That will be a topic or one later on. We will get to it. We'll get to it. Stay with us. Yeah, stay with us. I will publish it. This is coming up, and we will have a lot to talk about there.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Prolong the meeting in that.
Yeah, we might have to. You know, it's already 40 minutes in, but we have already covered 2.
Yeah.
There are some universities that have restrictions for certain calculators. Are T-inspired calculators allowed?
Which ones?
Thanks.
I knew the calculators would be a big point.
I don't think there are any restrictions on.
I think they are on biophysics.
Kind of, yeah, like the one with the display where
because
you can save
you can save answers.
Yeah.
Like a graphing calculator.
They are not allowed in the biophysics department.
Okay.
I think we're gonna exam.
I don't know what this, like, you guys will have to check that out in terms of what it is. It's TI.
TI.
TI and CI.
Yes, I use that.
The graphical.
Yeah?
Yes,
Yeah.
graphic.
Yeah? Okay.
But I don't know. I mean, it's 5 years ago. It's been 5 years ago.
It has like the
It won't
They probably.
It probably shouldn't have changed. If the pandemic restrictions do not lift by May 20th, does the faculty have a plan for how entrance exams will be conducted? They will be held online, and we will surely let you know well ahead how that will be done. It will not be more difficult for sure. We will arrange everything so you can write it online, and it will be fine. No worries. Yeah, we are prepped for the possibility that you will come over or write it personally, but we are rather realistic about this, so we expect that the examinations will be online as well. Okay, we have a lot of questions that will be perfect for later on when we get to student life and culture and HK and all that kind of stuff. So now we can move on to general medicine. That's a video where you will get a lot of your answers about the duration of the program, tuition fees and all of that answered. And then we will come back to the discussion. Do you guys have anything else about the entrance examination? You have been pretty thorough, right?
I think just maybe the possibility to do it in Czech Republic. Is it possible for those who study at an institute like Postgraduation or something to come here and do it? Or is it?
They might do it there, even in Postgraduation. And that will be like, we really have to see what the conditions will be at that time, because right now we have a limitation to 10 people in one room, which is really not much. And we will see whether it would be of any use to do it personally, or if it would be better. Like, the priority will always be the safety of the applicants, and we will have to take that into account. We'll see. It's still far ahead, you know, it's May, June, so. All right. A lot of questions for coming. How is the interview process? We don't have an interview process. There's only a test. So you don't have to worry about that, just a written test. Will the medical curriculum train us for the USMLE? That will be a question for you, Marwan, later on. We have mentioned it in the video, so they will be probably curious about like how ISU maybe helps out with that. And about your experience with the training, what is there to do extra? What exactly do you take in first year of chemistry at university? That's a very specific question. Like, what exactly do you take in first year of chemistry at university?
Oh, many things.
Many things, right? That's a very good question. Can you just come up with like 3 major things?
Organic chemistry and the metabolism of the nutrients by the body. Like mainly medical stuff.
Medical stuff, of course. So nutrients, you said?
Metabolism, like how to metabolize fats, proteins, lipids.
Okay.
It's like the first. Sorry.
No, go on.
That's like the first. The final consists of 3 parts basically. So they want you to know in the first part about some unorganic information on basic properties of elements, for example, or how to use them in medicine. And then in the second and third part, it's all related to metabolism and basically the physiological part of the chemistry.
Okay.
Also, maybe to add, it's a second-year subject, and also if someone doesn't have very good grounding in chemistry, they can take Introduction to Chemistry elective in first year. So it could be kind of a good introduction to the course that will be starting the year after. But usually, as with other subjects, we start with a basis, very general, introduce the terms, introduce the chapters, and then we start going more and more into detail. So for example, metabolism builds on the organic chemistry. So first you learn the structure, you learn what it does, and then you learn how it moves through the body and interacts with other structures. Yeah, so that.
Great, that was a great tip, you know, and you will get a lot of these tips at the beginning of your studies as well from your senior students, from your colleagues, so.
And sorry, just to add really quickly, I had some trouble with, we have biophysics in first year, and I had some trouble with that, but what really helps is outside, I mean, the classes as well, you can talk to the professors in particular fields that you have problems with, don't be afraid to do that, and also with the student union, we also help with certain things when it comes to the topics that you need to be covered. So we can do the academic assistance as well. So don't be afraid to ask your seniors, don't be afraid to ask your professors, and it should be okay. And at the end of the day, everything is typically medically relevant, so you can always go back to that.
Perfect. Thank you. Awesome. I think we have, like, that's the first two parts, you know, admission process and entrance examination, how to get in, actually, and now we will talk some more about general medicine. There's a lot of questions pertaining to general medicine and other things that we will still discuss within our meeting today. So, no worries, we will get to it. And we have plenty of questions here already, so we will go through some regarding this study program in particular. And all the students that are here today are from general medicine study program, so hopefully we will be able to answer all of the questions that you guys have here. So we already said that the duration of the study is 6 years. Questions often are whether that's including internship. That usually means the 6th year, and you guys are supposed to do the clinical rotations, basically clinical part preparation before your state examination. And then there are questions pertaining to the GMC registration, which is a very complicated topic right now since the transition period for Brexit has ended, and we are in negotiations with GMC, which has taken the opportunity of being out of EU and is checking more thoroughly the qualifications of all of the graduates that are coming to the UK. Meaning, so far, all of the graduates of Charles University and our universities across Czech Republic have been accepted as having the year of internship and as being eligible for FY2. Starting from this year, UK is out of EU, and suddenly it's not enough. They require further training. It pertains to all of the universities within Czech Republic, all of the faculties of Charles University, not just ours. So if you have heard, like, first faculty gets recognized and what is it for you guys? It's all the same, it's all the same. All of the faculties across Czech Republic, because the standards for education are the same across universities here. They differ just slightly. It's a matter of like weeks, not months. So it pertains to all of us, and we have entered the negotiations to see what we can do about this. But to conclude, the difference is that at the moment, the graduates are not entitled to full registration, meaning skipping FY1, but they are entitled to preliminary registration, which means they will have to go through the FY1 to get a proper training in UK as well, to get adjusted to the system and get the full internship, and only then they can get, after a year, get full registration. However, this can be also substituted by taking extra months of internship over here. We are currently looking into options how to provide our students these possibilities to either do it before graduation or after graduation, getting extra practice so they can fulfill the conditions and they can get registered to FY2, get full registration with GMC. So, right now it's a complicated and messy period. GMC is not being easy about this, but we are looking into it and we are trying very hard to get a solution for this, because we want our graduates to be able to go to UK. So hopefully we have answered these questions and concerns, which are very understandable. It makes total sense that you want to know how that goes. It's an uncertain period for everyone when it comes to UK, but we are keeping tabs and we're looking into it. What else? Tuition fees, that was mentioned. We will not get into that. Is the studying this year going to be online or in person or on campus? And these are questions we could probably... Where is the college located? In Prague. No, you guys, we're in Hradec Kralove. We will mention it once again. It's a different location. We get that it might be confusing to you because it's Charles University, and for a long, long time it was called Charles University in Prague, which is not true anymore. The name now more reflects the fact that Charles University has faculties. You can consider them as campuses, somewhat independent too, in 3 different cities. So a lot of them reside in Prague, but some, like us, reside in other cities. It's either Hradec Kralove, that's us, medical faculty and pharmacy faculty, or in Pilsen. So we will show you a map later on as well, so you will see where it is. It's not far. How do you guys feel like? Is it a big of a deal that you're not in Prague? Like, a lot of people are now just probably very confused and maybe scared, like, it's not Prague, do I go there? Can you tell us something about that? Did you know that you're not going to Prague when you were applying?
Yes.
You're the smart one.
But there is stories about people who got it visited and didn't know it was not in Prague.
Yeah, and then they took a taxi from the Prague airport to the address they booked their apartment here, and it took them 1.5 hours to get here. Prague is really big.
Honestly, Prague is not that far, so it's not that big of a deal. Like, people can go to Prague whenever they want. It's also very cheap with the train, so that's good. And a lot of people, I myself included, I think it's good to study in a smaller city. You can go anywhere with the bike, or like just walking has a lot of advantages as well.
Yeah, we will go through that once again, because we have like a special section that is dedicated to these kind of things, like where are we, what do we do, what it is like to live here, what it means in terms of accommodation, your hobbies, sports, and that kind of thing. So we have just touched the topics. We have summed up like the most important things. We are not residing in Prague. We're 100 kilometers from Prague, but there is a highway, there's a railway, and you can get here pretty fast by pretty frequent connections, so it shouldn't be a problem. And there's a lot of benefits that come with living in HK. Okay, I will try to, we have a lot of questions, and it's a mix of all sorts of things. So I will try to go through them so we can answer some now, and before taking a video for dentistry. We've covered this. Virtual tour. We will do virtual tour of the faculty at the end of this meeting. If you're interested, you can stay with us, and at the end I will take you through our 3D models of the faculty. We have doll houses of 3 different buildings of our faculty. It's pretty cool, and we will show you where you can find it and go through it yourself. And we will also take you around a little bit today, just to show you the places that you will be interested in. So you can then drop us some of the places that you would like to see, and we will try to show them to you, or the things that we consider interesting. And so we will take a short tour at the end of this meeting. We have covered this one with the GMC. Dorms will be mentioned in the other video, but we can already discuss it. You guys, probably all of you are living in private rental accommodation, correct? Yeah. So we do have dorms. That's a pretty frequent question. And you guys can opt for dorms, but we always mention that it's a basic standard accommodation that is shared. There's usually not capacity for you to have a single room, so you would be sharing a room with another student. And to be honest, the market with private rental accommodation in HK is pretty well established. We have had study programs in English since 1992, which seems like for ages now. And so, people here are used to students coming and leaving and renting apartments, different sizes, different numbers of people. So if you want to, this is a great option for you. You can find a location in the city center and just rent out a flat with your friends. Do you guys have any like notes to this? You probably, do every one of you live in the city center? Right, yes.
I live a little outside the center, but I did have the experience of living in the center before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I used to live in Old Town, like in the center.
Yeah.
And it was really close by everything. And then I moved into New Town, and I thought like, oh my god, it's really far away now, but still it's so close, everything, like I can still walk everywhere. So
yeah, like HK is, you know, you can get from one side to the other within an hour on foot.
yeah,
Less.
So, yeah, so like, honestly, you haven't been to the far end, you know?
I think it's because he has long legs, so he covers
Yeah,
it.
true. Yeah, it would take me an hour, Toby might be faster. Like, everything is close.
Sorry to interrupt, but like talking about the Prague HK comparison, I feel like in HK where we are, it's much easier to commute by foot or by public transport. It's very easy to get to places. After a few weeks, you get to know where everything is. There's a few spots where everything happens in terms of university, and you find your way around, and it's quite easy. And also, the accommodation is pretty cheap, especially if you come with your friends and you're sharing. Usually, there's a transition period. You stay with your friends the first year, second year, and then you kind of move out and find your own smaller apartments for yourself. So that's like the natural progression that we've all kind of been through. But yeah, everything is very accessible. It's hard to explain without being here, but once you get here, you will see that everything is very accessible.
Very true. That was very well put, you know. There are only a few spots where everything is happening. That's quite.
But there's much more to see. It's just that you'll find that it's not too difficult to get to the places you need to be for university.
Exactly, you're quite right. I think that you have explained it well. Like, the proximity is our main thing, you know. Everything is close by. That's true.
Just maybe to add really quickly, cycling is a really viable way to get around the city. I think Toby mentioned it, maybe Gautham didn't, but like I mean, if you compare it to Prague, where there are tram lines, where the traffic is insane, Hradec is really a heaven for those who like to commute by bike, who like to go on bike excursions. There are so many bike routes around the city. I think it's fantastic for this type of sport or way of communication, commuting.
You're right, and we're in a lowland, right? So there are no like awful hills that you would have to ride up to. Mm-hmm. Everything is like pretty easy. Mm-hmm. You don't have to put in much effort, and you can get quite far. But on the other hand, mountains are quite close, so if that's not a big enough challenge for you, then you can get some. But true, bikes are pretty handy around here, and we do that a lot. What else do we have there? What are the payment options available? So tuition has to be paid every year at the beginning of the academic year. It's the option to pay semester-wise is not there anymore, and that's it basically. So all at once at the beginning of every academic year.
But we do have a cash desk, so you can pay.
Yeah, it can be bank transfer or it can be cash, but we don't like to see that much money in cash. It's much more safer for everyone if you don't walk around with so much money. I would be nervous. It's even though that nothing ever happens around here and no one else knows that you have so much money. If you lose it, it's oh my god. No, just like bank transfer, you know, 21st century.
It's for free anyway. So.
Right? Yeah, exactly. After graduating from HK, how does one pursue master in Czech?
What's the question?
The studies are masters, so when you're done, you're done. It's not a bachelor course. It's a full master for either 6 years general medicine or 5 years dentistry, and you will have courses of Czech within your study. What is it? What do you want to say?
It's in the first 2 years of your study you do learn Czech, especially medical Czech, and it really helps you at the hospital. You get a bunch of phrases that you need to know. But you really have to, if you plan on working in the Czech Republic from the beginning, you need to think about it. and you need to really go the extra mile to learn the language, because most of us, some of us, I feel like Marwan can attest to that. He's maybe spoken to a lot of people, and his Czech is better than most of our Czech because of the practice, but most of us, our Czech is not good enough to be working at the hospitals here. So if that's your plan, or if it's even an option for you, then you should definitely, after the first 2 years, you should really go the extra mile to learn Czech. But first 2 years, we do have medical Czech at university.
Yeah, you will start from the beginning. So what we like to say is that people can kind of get freaked out, you know, when they hear that they will have to learn Czech. So you don't have to know anything beforehand. As already was mentioned by Marwan and Gautham as well, you will start from the very beginning, from small talk and little things, and gradually work up to a level where you should be somewhat comfortable with starting your practices in the hospital. Of course, we will try to pair you with personnel who will be able to communicate English as well, so they can bridge the language barrier if there's any. But you will be practicing in our university hospital, and most of the patients will be elderly people who are not fluent in English, so you cannot expect them to be able to talk to you normally in English, and you will have to know some of the language as well. If you aim to stay, of course, you will have to get to a more proficient level. We have elective courses throughout the study that you can take if you want to. You can practice with Czech students. You can take extra courses that will be up to your pace and up to your preferences, up to you. And then quite a lot of students decide that they want to stay in their last year of study, and then they are catching up after studies too. So we have some smaller hospitals when they will have enough time to guide you through the process and give you some buffer time to be able to catch up with your Czech language skills, but it's better if you know beforehand and you prep for it. That's definitely the key thing to take from this. Alright, so when it comes, there's a related question about the options in the Czech job market. As a graduate of Charles University of our faculty, you will have an access to Czech job market. For registration with our medical council, you will have to pass a Czech language exam. That's what we have just discussed. And that's it. After that, you can register with the medical council, and you can get a job here. We can maybe get back to that later on, because how many of you are considering staying in Czech Republic and then getting the spot? Or one? Okay. I know of some people who have already done it, so we can go through the experience later on if you're interested. This one we have covered. Currently, during COVID situation, the study is partially personal when it comes to practical training, and a lot of it is taking part online when it comes to lectures and some of the subjects that do not require your presence or that we're not able to secure for the time being in person. So we don't know what the situation will be starting from the next year. We really hope that things will get better with the vaccination and everything, but if not, we already are conducting some of the teaching online. So we suppose that we will be able to maintain it if needed. Our government within Czech Republic is aware of the fact that medical students need personal training. They cannot stay solely online. So we are in one of the exceptions while other schools are closed altogether. Ours is allowed to conduct personal training when it comes to clinical practices. That's it. Do you want to add something to that?
Just maybe because the first 2 years are largely preclinical, and I mean, of course, it would be nice to have in-person practice, but it's not a huge departure from the main subject. Even if you have some classes online, because a lot of it is theoretical in the first 2 years, and then slowly, hopefully, in the next 3-4 years, things smooth out and this becomes a thing of the past and we can go back to clinical, in-person clinical practice. But right now, I don't think it would make that much of a difference.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good point, actually. At the beginning, you know, in the first year, like much of it can happen online and it won't be that big of a deal. It's the higher years that we're striving to give some alternatives. Though it's difficult with this situation. We have already covered where we are located, job options too, PhD exams after graduations. Yes, it's UK, they will force you to do a lot of things.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. So after Brexit happened, the situation with PhD is that it's not required, even if you're a non-European citizen studying here in Czech Republic. And in the past, it used to be that European citizens, including British ones, wouldn't have had to do the exam. But after Brexit, also non-European students do not have to do it. So that's a good side of Brexit. On the other hand, the bad side would be, as previously mentioned, is that the internship that we do in our last year is not exactly what they want. So there might not need to be an adjustment or some other plan to do after graduation temporarily.
Yeah, okay. All right, so that is covered. There is the question about, we'll get back to USMLE later on. There is also the internship in my clinic. We will cover that too a little bit in the upcoming videos and discussions, so we can get back to that too. When it comes to USMLE, our course is not really focused on that one in particular. So taking the exams and prepping for them will be up to you. As we have mentioned, there are options to join forces with your colleagues and prep for it together with help of ISU, right?
And also with that said, I think the curriculum of our faculty really prepares you well for USMLE. And like, as I know, a lot of our students have gone to the US, a lot of them have passed the exams. I haven't heard of anyone who attempted who actually failed it, so that's
quite true. We have, as we mentioned, we have a long history when it comes to English studies, and quite a lot of students have, of course, during that time went to US or UK, so it's definitely doable, and this is just a good testament that the curriculum does prepare you to a certain extent, and you will then just take the exams. All right, and my clinic internship, that's something that is, if you're interested in, who has been?
I haven't been, but I did apply. And,
you did apply?
Yeah.
But it was like last year, right, when it did not?
No, it was. It depends on, of course, your merit, and also it depends on your field of interest and what they can provide for you. So, because it is a big chunk of your time, it is your entire summer that you're spending there, and you will be working with a doctor on some topic that you're interested in and you write an essay about. So if they feel like they can provide you with what you want, then they would assess your merits, and then they would decide whether to take you in. And yes, a lot of people did go from the international program during my year, and I can't speak for them, but I think they all had like very good experiences, and every year they tend to have good experiences, and especially about the publications, which is also the scientific part of things. In Europe especially, it's pretty important for medical practitioners to also get involved in the research part of things. So it's a very good introduction or an incentive for you to get involved early on. And regardless of the criteria, I would recommend applying because of what it would have you do. Get good grades, participate in scientific things, and it just puts you in a good place.
Yeah, it's very good that you're asking about it already now, that you have this idea that you would like to pursue something like that, a scientific study. So this is a good option. There's only a few seats every year, so as Gautham mentioned, candidates are interviewed and selected based on their research suggestions and the possibilities of Maya when it comes to including students into that kind of research. And then you spend basically 3 months in US, in Rochester at Mayo, working with some crazy equipment and great researchers. So that's a great opportunity to. Do we have dissections on real human bodies in the first year?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, this question makes sense for a reason. You know, it's not habitual everywhere. Some places the schools don't have access to real human bodies for dissections. Here, it still works the old school traditional ways. So you do get to work with the real tissue, with the real bodies. Be prepped for that. It will not be just simulators. But it's something we all consider that that's something you should go through, and that should be part of your training as a doctor.
Most of the students agree with that.
Right? Good, thank you. Good that it's not just our notion, but it's true. No, it's based on practice, you know, that you should be familiar with that, and you should get acquainted rather soon within your study. All right. How much time will I spend in lectures as opposed to self-directed study? There will be a lot of self-studying.
I think it depends on you.
Yeah.
Like whatever you choose best.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who like the lectures and they go to them. There's other people that think their time is more valuable if they use it at home or in library or whatever.
That's true. It also depends on the subject, you know, on what kind of student you are. But that differs a lot. Like medicine itself means a lot of self-studying too. You will definitely not cover everything in school, so you have to be counting with the fact that you will also spend a lot of time over books and studying further materials.
But just always remember that, of course, especially in the first 2 years, the pace is very fast, so you have to catch up on a lot of studying. But the people that, the lecturers, the professors that do give the lectures are the ones that will examine you at the end of the day. So they often tend to mention things that are really important that they want to hear from you. And you, at the end of the day, it is the human body, it is things that you can find everywhere. But you should also really take into account the resources provided by the university, because when you sit down for the examination, they will expect certain things from you that they have mentioned and emphasized during the lecture. So you might feel left out if you miss those lectures. So again, it's up to you, but just keep that in mind though.
Thank you for that. All right, okay. How many students are there generally in a group or class? So we have mentioned that we have an intake of 105. Then the students are divided into 3 subgroups of 35, am I saying it right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, more or less 35. And then for some lectures, for some seminars, you're divided into even smaller groups. Right? Very much depends on the subject and on the level of like individual teaching that you will need for that kind of particular topic or subject. So in general, we might say that our size in terms of classes is rather smaller. We have only 105 free subgroups, and then we try to divide into, I don't know, groups of 15, 5, depending on the subject that we're looking into.
To add on that, in the clinical part, as soon as you go to hospital, usually you are even in smaller groups, like 4, maybe 5 students on one patient with one doctor, so that's also quite good.
Great, thank you. That's one of the benefits actually that we try to mention, that you will get more individual approach and possibility to study in smaller groups that you might get elsewhere, depending. Are there any precedents for post-graduation at HK? We surely have doctoral studies here. It very much depends on the topic or on the field of expertise you would like to follow up with. And it should probably derive from your preceding work at the particular department. Depending on the topic and the field that you're interested in, just get in touch with the department, talk to them about any kind of research that you would like to do, and the possibility to work together during your study and after your study as well. When it comes to specialization training, you can do that in our university hospital as well. That's an option too. How long will the process to get my visa take? Depends. Depends very much on the embassy you will be applying at. That's a question for your agent probably. They will have better information to give you because they have the experience with the local embassy and with the procedure, so they should be able to give you more intel on that. All right. So let's move on to dentistry. So we will take a little break from the discussion. We will continue with the next video. So that was for dentistry. I have went through a lot of questions that we had in the chat on Facebook. We have some of them we have already answered during the previous discussion we had, but there is also some questions about the preparation course, about the dropout within the first year. That's understandable. We should and scholarships. So we will cover those topics now. We don't have anything particular for dentistry. However, we are all here like students for general medicine. So for dentistry, we would have just like reference information probably. And we welcome here the Vicing for study programs in English. Professor Rudolf as well has joined us from his classes. So if anything in particular will be needed, he can help us with answering the questions as well. So when it comes to scholarship, unfortunately, we don't have any scholarship that would help you in terms of covering the living expenses or the tuition fee itself. We have only scholarship for good study results. That is like a 1 month covering of stay or something like that, or getting yourself something nice. And when it comes to how many students we have covered that within the videos, but when it comes to the dropout, we usually say it's about 10% from the first year to the second. It very much differs, and there's a lot of reasons for that. It's not that we would have any quota and we would be able to allow only a few students to the next year. That's not it at all. It relies solely on the ability of the students to pass their examinations, fulfill the minimum requirements to proceed into the next year. Some students drop out because they are not comfortable adjusting to a completely new environment. They decide that medicine is not for them, or they have other financial or personal reasons within their family. So the reasons are very, very different for everyone, and it's not that we would be allowing only a certain number of students to proceed into the next year, like at some places, but we have enough seats. It's just up to the students when they are able to pass. Dorms we have covered. Preparation course. Did anyone here take the preparation course?
Germany.
In Germany. We have already discussed at the beginning that we have preparation courses here in Czech Republic, and then you can take preparation course with your agency. Very much differs for your location or where you're applying from. So if you would be interested, we do have preparation course here in Czech Republic in Hradec, where Professor Rudolf teaches as well. It's a course that should guide you through preparation for biology, chemistry, physics, and some of the Czech, I believe, as well. Yes. But for that, you would have to be present here in Czech Republic, and but it could be a good starting point for you to already adjust to the environment, get some contacts, and get prepared. And you would also get lessons with our teachers. Did you like to add anything to that?
Not really. At the moment, students don't need to be here physically in Czech Republic, so because the classes are taken online.
Yeah,
and that's considered to be still exceptional situation. Of course, the best to be face to face. And perhaps one more thing: the course which takes place in Hradec is 1 year course, so full 2 semesters. So of course, it's not a shortened course. Some other faculties might offer the shortened courses or sort of like a short brainstorms before the actual exam, 1-2 weeks, I think. But that's not the case for the PhD. It's a regular 2-year study, 1-year study with biophysics, chemistry, but also basics of Czech and Latin and things. So it's rather like a full year of preparation.
Correct. That is good to know as well, that you have to start with the preparation well beforehand to get through all of the topics within our course in time before the entrance examination. But it is, of course, planned, so you finish everything soon enough, and then you're able to take the exam. It's not just the preparation solely for our entrance examination. You can, of course, like, since it gives you all of the basic or the major subjects, you can then use it as a good prep for other exams as well, as we have mentioned, that you will be probably applying elsewhere too. Questions about the academic year. It was also mentioned in the videos, but let's just quickly repeat that. We start in October, we have 2 semesters, and we have 2 examination periods, right? So autumn starts in October, then you run through till December, and beginning of Jan, then in Jan and beginning of February you have the first examination period for the winter semester, where you should conclude some of the courses from winter at least, ideally all of them. And then you proceed to summer semester, other subjects, and those you conclude within June. Possibly if you do not manage everything in time, then we have extra examination period in September, correct? Do you guys think we should mention anything else that might differ for students from different places?
Yeah, maybe something I didn't know as well before I came here was that the period in winter, like that you actually are free of studies, is rather short compared to, for example, my home country, Germany. So like that's something that you should like know maybe before, whereas the free period in summer is much longer. It always depends how quickly you finish your exams and how much time you want to take with them. That's up to you. But there is no like default free time in after the winter semester. Just so you know that maybe.
Yeah, that's true. Some students finish fast and they have longer period to take off. Then once again, there are years where you have many examinations and it's not that easy to finish it all like beforehand. True, very true. And then there is the question, is it true that first 2 years of medicine are very, very hard? Go, tell them.
I'd say it's a trick.
Like, I think it's because it's new.
Yeah,
you don't know what do you expect, and it's first overwhelming, but then you get used to it, and you're used to the system, to the exams, to the new environment, and yeah.
To the way of studying, and this helps you a lot manage your time easier.
Change your lifestyle, basically.
I wouldn't say the first 2 years are hard. I would say all of it is hard. But the thing is, you learn to, again, always bring it back to medicine, because even if it's a subject that you don't particularly enjoy, you can always find a way to bring it back to medicine, because at the end of the day, it's clinically relevant in some way or the other. And so when you understand that, then it sort of becomes easier, because you're learning it for a reason. And before you know it, the years go by so quickly. So yeah, it's definitely difficult, but it's nothing you can't handle. It's not a problem.
Also, sorry, go ahead.
I think why people consider it hard, especially the first 2 years, because I think the jump from high school to medicine or med school is is quite big. Like the amount and of course the material itself, it's nothing compared to what you study in your major English classes or even biology classes. But I think it's very fun, like, because you're I'm guessing you're interested, so I think studying something that you're interested is of course great, and it's really rewarding, because whatever you're learning, I can only speak for myself, but it's really great. Yeah.
Like also, I think also like a lot of students come here like at quite young age. This is also, I believe, one of the like bigger parts that like people have to struggle with living like not at home. A lot of new things. You have to wash your own clothes. You have to cook yourself. And, like, this is a struggle that comes additionally to the new like tasks you have. But people get through it, even though it may seem hard at some parts. And like you grow with your tasks, I believe so. So it might seem hard, but it's also rewarding, and you will get through it.
That's quite true. It all comes at the same time, and it might seem as like very overwhelming. The fact that you have to take care of yourself and do the regular day-to-day stuff that you probably have gotten handled by your parents so far, and now you have to deal with it yourself. Plus, you switch from high school to university, so that's a different system. We are not leading you exactly by the hand. You have to be independent. You have to organize your time. You have to persuade yourself to study, to self-study, as we have already mentioned. So it might be a lot. But once you get the hang of it and you figure out what kind of a person you are and what works for you, it gets easier. It gets easier. But general medicine in general is quite hard. Like we're not trying to cover that. It will be hard everywhere, I guess.
I think people know that.
Yeah.
Perhaps one more thing to add. It's quite important for the applicants to realize that the study at the university, as the Pavla said, is just not the study which is strictly controlled every other day. That is, it takes very easily all year before the student realizes that he's in a problem. So it's always important that the student always relies upon not a single straightforward plan, but always as sort of like a backup plan. That's my point from my point of view and from the point of view of the administration, because if the student relies upon the things that will go smoothly all the time without any problems, the time that he or she encounters the problem, that's usually attack of panicky, and that's usually the situation, unless he already has the plan B. And that's quite essential for the adaptation here too, because as Pavla said, you come home from the lectures, from the classes, and there's nobody waiting at home with dinner. Nobody watches your clothes, nobody asks you how did you do anything, so you have to do it all yourself and alone. Perhaps one prerequisite for all our applicants should be whether they try to stay away from their family for a while in order to get used to such a situation, which is part of the success of these studies.
Oh, well, already the fact that you realize that will be the case, and you try to prep yourself, your mind for it should help. But yeah, you will never know exactly until it happens and you have to deal with it. So it would be nice to try it out, but not everyone has the option. So, but then again, we will have a video about the student organizations, and then you will learn that we have an organization that's called Moms and Dads. So you will sort of have kind of family around here, and you will have people to turn to if you're confused or it gets too much or you need help with something. So we don't want to scare you entirely, completely, that was not the aim of this session. I'm just trying to point out the things as they are and prep you for what's coming. But most of it will happen wherever you are if you're not at home, so. Okay, whether the tuition fee differs for EU citizens or others, no it does not, everyone gets the same. We have already discussed the accommodation, that you have the options to choose either dormitories or private rental accommodation, and then it's up to you. Usually you do not stay in the same one for all 6 years. You can, but the natural evolution is that you usually pick other places throughout years with other people that you would like to stay with. We have covered the passing rate during the initial years. Once you we have also discussed that the first 2 years are probably the hardest when it comes to adjusting to everything. So that's also the first 2 years where the dropout would be the highest. But once you're settled in, then you will be fine.
Just to say something, since we're talking about settling in, usually our student organization, the International Student Union, as well as the faculty, they help you to settle in the first, during the first few weeks, and then later on, but especially the first few weeks, where you will meet some upper year students, you will meet some officials from the student union who will really like guide you so you're not completely lost, so you're not like stranded. There will always be a support system from us as a student body, and also from the faculty. And also just to say one more fact, the fact that we're not such a huge faculty gives a sense of community, and always there are people who you can depend on to, and in case you're lost academically or in life, that they can just help you get through that period. And just maybe the same way you will benefit in first year, you will help someone else when you're in upper year.
That would be nice.
That's how the cycle like.
That would be nice. Because you know what it's like, you know, you went through it, then you are more compassionate and of course able to help the others. So it's always nice when it works like that. Question about the seats. We mentioned that we have 105 for general medicine, 25 for dentistry. How many are for internationals? All of those are internationals. All of those are for studies in English. We have a separate number for Czech study programs, which is higher. So those seats are available for international students. We have already mentioned the way the classes are conducted at the moment. It's just Kashif has probably joined us later, so we have a mix of presence teaching and online teaching. And first years more so that it's online. What is the entrance exam pass grade? Well, it's not set. We usually rank the people based on the scores they reached. The total score of the examination counts, and depending on the overall capabilities, then for the number of students that we are able to take in, we draw the line, so it differs across years. Would you like to give a comment on that, Professor Rudolf? Somewhat.
Yeah, I agree with that. That the cutoff line is established or set for every year, so it's not a fixed throughout the years, because of course the spectrum of candidates every year is different, and we also have to take into consideration the numbers. So it's sort of like a little game, or little sort of the game with the dean, where we try to set the pass rate at reasonable level. These levels do not change though much from year to year, like not dramatically, even though they're not. They represent something like a compromise between our highest expectations and the reality.
All right, good. So that one we have answered too. House query, how many students go to my clinic for the internship every year? It would be around 10. It differs across years, but slightly. It would be around 10. If I went to Germany or any other country that Charles University has an intern agreement with for a year to do my studies, are the tuition fees going to remain the same? This is a kind of mix of different things. You can go abroad for some studies, for experience, for Erasmus exchanges, etc. But you have to be able to do that, you have to remain our student, and to be our student, you have to be enrolled in the English study program and thus pay the tuition fee. So that's why our students mostly use the option of going for a clinical stay rather than to go for Erasmus stays themselves. Because you do get some funding for your Erasmus stays and for this kind of mobility, but it's not that convenient with the tuition fee in play. Whilst when you want to do clinical placements, you can always arrange for something that is in your home country or any other country and go as for an elective course and get some credits for that for a few weeks within the summer vacation or something like that. If you don't manage passing the entrance exam, can you apply for foundation? Of course, and that's what many students do, except we should point out that as what you mentioned as foundation, we consider the preparation course in PharmDr that we have mentioned, which is the parallel course that runs throughout the academic year and gets you revision and preparation in the main examination subjects such as biology, chemistry, physics, and some Czech too. All right, good. We have covered all of the questions, and we can move on to. Do you have quota for students intake from different countries or curricula? No, we don't. We don't have any quotas of such kind. The only thing that matters is the score within the entrance examination test. Dentistry program relied on self-studying as well. To a certain extent, yes, of course. But the specifics, as was mentioned in the video, are that it's from the very beginning very much focused on your manual skills and on the training for your practice, because it's a shorter course, it's much more intense, and aside from general knowledge, you have to master the particular specifics needed for your work as a dentist. Alright, so we will move to the next video, which is covering what we have already discussed. Main benefits, what is it like to live in HK, free time, we will sum it all up, and then we can come back to the discussion. I have a question about the food, actually, as I thought it would be interesting. In terms of halal food, where am I able to access such providers? I just know that halal is here, but I don't really know the particular details.
There's a place in Prague that sells halal food, and usually like people order from there and they get it like in bulk.
Oh, okay, alright. So you order in bulk and you just
you
get
store
it.
Many students get from their home countries, like with them, and then when they need more, they go to Prague and buy from there and come back, or they order from there.
I think even recently it could be ordered online.
Yeah, it's online.
Yeah.
Also, there are a couple of restaurants here which take into account the halal requirements, so it's still not completely unavailable. There are restaurants which provide it. You can order it online. You can get it yourself if you're for a visit in Prague, for example. It's very accessible, I think.
In terms of the food in general, I have mentioned just a few bits that came to mind fast and food that I eat probably most of the time, but do you have any insights on that? Like, what's your favorite one? Like, kind of cuisine?
I think we all have our own favorites that we always go to, the comfort foods available here. But in the town center, there's a strip of restaurants and all kinds of cuisines, so you can try them all out in the orientation week and then decide what your favorite is. But typically, there's my personal favorite would be an Indian Nepalese restaurant that a lot of the students tend to go to, and it has really good food. Maybe not food that you might be used to from back home, but it has its own type of cuisine and it's very nice, and they're very friendly to students as well. And most of the restaurants here, especially in the town center, are very international student friendly, and I don't think you would have any difficulty finding the cuisine that suits you the best.
There's also a great app that brings you every food you want, basically, so a lot of students take advantage of that too.
Dame jídlo.
Exactly.
Dame jídlo.
They can pay us when they hear this advertisement.
And it's quite affordable, so we go out quite often.
Alright, cool. Question, is the degree recognized in the UK? We have covered that thoroughly in the beginning of this session, so I will ask you to come back to it once it's concluded and we will upload it online. You can hear what we had to say about that. We have really covered that quite extensively, so let's not go through that again. We are already past the time that we have announced this stream to be for. Any mosques near the campus? Near. Everything is near. I know of one, and it would be from the faculty, 20 minutes? 15, 20 minutes? And then we have a prayer room right in the faculty building. so that should be okay too. Is there language or accent barrier with professors experienced by students? That's like...
Absolutely, there is professors that have another, like a certain level of English, which is only natural, I think, especially like some of the elderly professors, but it's never to such an, or almost never to such an extent that it like bothers you, or okay, it might bother you, but it doesn't like give you a disadvantage or something. And as always, you can like get away around that, ask again, ask to like maybe that they can repeat what they said. So
true.
Of course, yeah, but also from students wise, like
right.
I'm not a native speaker. My English is also not perfect, so
exactly. Or like they are not native speakers, so you might expect differences in the skills and the pronunciation as well. But most of the time, it's easily resolvable. Is the student able to pursue his specialization? We have also covered that. Yes, he or she is in our university hospital that we have mentioned in the video. When does specialization start? Well, after completion of the study, because general medicine is meant to give you a general overview, of course, prepare you for, I don't know, being a general practitioner. For starters, and then if you want to proceed into any particular field, then you will start working on that one after you graduate from the master's. Are there any Hindu temples in the city? Are we really getting into like...
I don't know of any Hindu temples in the city, but in Prague I'm sure you can find Hindu communities and temples. And like we said, Prague is pretty accessible, so on the weekends you might be able to go, but I don't know of any within HK actually.
Yeah, me neither. I wouldn't know of that.
However, we do have a Hindu community, and every year we organize the Diwali, which I think is
so
it's one of the major celebrations.
Yeah, so the ISU puts together like events like Diwali, and we usually sometimes we meet at the restaurant, one of the Indian restaurants, and they have buffets, and it's quite fun. So and in Prague as well, there's plenty of Holi celebrations. There's quite a large Indian community in Prague and also in HK, and I'm not sure about the temples, but yeah, the celebrations I don't think you will fall short on.
Okay, that's great. No, it was a very good point to bring out. All right, then we have once again questions. How hard is the dentistry program? Well, that's hard to say. It's not easy, that's for sure. How hard it will be, it very much depends on your approach to study, I suppose.
Perhaps I should just comment on that.
Mm-hmm.
The course is demanding, but what is the limiting factor is the practical skills or hand skills. So if a student is capable of learning lots of books by heart, but cannot just practically show his skills while carving the wax, while performing the necessary surgical interventions or whatever, the course can never be successfully completed. So it's just unlike perhaps the general medicine where a lot of emphasis is on the knowledge, which is not exactly like a technical or practical. So in dentistry course, the practical skills are limiting. In that way, it is perhaps harder because you cannot really graduate from this course with just a theory.
Okay, good. Then the related question whether dentistry degree is recognized outside the EU. Yes, it is. Frequent question is about UK once again. Our graduates have gone and registered in UK and are practicing in UK right now, so that's an option too. Alrighty, we're kinda behind the schedule. Let's get to the student organizations themselves. It is a short video. We can spare 5 minutes to just watch it, and then we'll comment on the benefits of that. In the meanwhile, you students try to think of like one conclusion for the end to give them on the go.
I think Marwan, your last goodbye was the cheapest.
Good one forever.
You know that Insta people can see you the whole time making fun of Marwan, right?
Yeah.
Laughing faces around here, even though you have the mask. To be honest, it was a time before exam. He was stressed.
Yeah.
And as you can see that he's very gracious and fun person, so...
I actually thought the video was perfect, so I started talking about
right? He's known around as a sports person, so that might be it.
Yeah.
Alright, okay. Do you guys want to add something about like the student organizations? Is there anyone who's not a member of one? Right.
Like I have something to add, but it actually we already spoke about the ISU, but two more organizations exist. ASM, which organizes some certain events targeted at Czech students more, and also IFMSA, which is the International Federation of Medical Student Association, and it organizes yearly opportunities to go abroad on exchanges during the summer months. I've had students who I've had colleagues who went to Japan, South Korea, Brazil, Spain, Tunisia. So you can really use your summers to partly do research or work in a hospital abroad, or also to discover new cultures and meet colleagues from all over the world and make connections. So that's one more thing to take into account.
That's quite true. We have mainly in the video covered the purely international organizations, but we do have student organizations that are that were formed by the Czech students.
Mm-hmm.
They're also making a lot of events and a lot of seminars and workshops you can attend. So it's if you want to, you can join that community too. But mainly we have talked about the two basic ones that you will encounter the first time you arrive to HK, and then you can surely look into the benefits of the others too. That was a good point. Thank you for that. All right. Anything else on behalf of ISU, student organizations, the fun stuff? Did you have anything about the you were kind of looking surprised when everyone mentioned the other student organizations?
No, I just remembered one, but it's a German organization, but it's fairly new, and it's more based on drinking.
Drinking water. Stay hydrated, everyone.
Akshita hobbies. Right. Yeah, that's true. Students come here from different countries, and of course you will have a chance to stick with, so to say, your people, the students that come from your country, or you can mingle within different organizations that are kind of for all of you here. So that, yeah.
To pick up on that, I think that is one of the biggest advantages of the studies here. I always thought I'm a very open-minded person, but you never know how close-minded you are until you actually get to know so many different cultures, and that's one of the bigger takeaway messages, I think, or lessons I've learned here. That's so many new things and so many cultures you get to know, which is very, very cool.
Broadening your perspectives, and then at the same time you will have a lot of people who are coming from the same country as you are, so you will have people you can easily relate to as well. So that's good that both of that is here for you. All right. Do we have
I'm just want to say, it's like doing a semester abroad, but for 6 years, because you're in a foreign country. Plus, on that, you also have people, your classmates are from other countries, so it's like this crazy, melting pot where you really get to know people from all over the world. It's really something special, and
That's true, and it's a mix of everything actually. Full-time students that we have, Erasmus students coming here, so you can get also like that in the mix. They have a different studying regime and attitudes too. So yeah, you will get to meet a lot of people, a lot of interesting people, and you will get to participate in a lot of interesting events. All right. Okay. We have already surpassed the time that we had allotted for this meeting. Let's part with like some recommendations from you guys, because that will be the most important for them probably to hear. If you have anything that you would like to pass on to the current applicants that are choosing their university, and it can be a general advice of whatever, or it can be a particular message from HK or why to come here, or, you know, just like one thing that you would like to leave them with for today. So
I think it's very important that the students coming, like, they should know they're coming to a medical school, so it's not the university experience of a normal school, it's a medical faculty. So if that's really what they want, they should come here. The other fun stuff are there, like you can do it, but it's not like people doing other majors. Like it's mainly medical faculty, and then you can do the other stuff that are an elective thing. But the main thing is the studying. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
Connecting to this, like know how to organize your studies is the major thing, basically, which I usually don't, but
that's a very hard thing to do.
But it puts a lot of stress. I put a lot of stress on myself by that. So know how to organize your studies, but also, as Marwan said in the video, know how to organize your free time and try to organize some free time during all of that studying, because it's necessary, absolutely.
Sometimes it might be hard to keep that in mind, but you have to like purposefully.
It's hard in the first day, especially with all the mini tests coming up each week, which is quite a high pace. But if you succeed in organizing, like with the information on how to study this information, which is different for every subject, I think, then you can even manage to have some free time, maybe on weekends or in the evening, to go for a drink. Not, partying all the time, but yeah.
Yeah, good.
As Ali said, it's not about partying. Actually, it's about studying, but not all the time.
And
yeah, keep a balance. Keep a balance. That's what we are trying to say, right?
Exactly.
And in the video, Shita had also mentioned this. In first year, especially when you come to a university and you're getting used to how things work on an academic level and also on a social level, you might be very lost and you're looking for how other people are doing things, and you tend to sometimes obsess over how someone else is doing something. And I think everyone can agree that the one thing that you have to really learn early on, hopefully, is to find your groove. And your thing is individual, it's your thing, and it only works for you for a reason, and you should find that, and you should really try to find that. Just because it's different from someone else's, it's not a negative mark on you, it's a positive, because at the end of the day, you have to find your routine which lets you cope with all these other things that happen around you. And once you do that, I think it's pretty smooth sailing from there, because you have your routine, like Niklas said, you have your organization, but again, it's very personalized to you. So don't feel nervous about having your own thing. You might be interested in something that's very specific to you, but that's you. So figure that out in the first 2 years along with your studies, and the rest of it just goes by so quickly. So that's all from me.
Exactly. It's good to get advice from higher year students, but it's also good to look for your own balance specifically. Find your own way how to cope with everything, and get a good state of mind and pace when you're studying.
I would have said the same thing. I think don't be too hard on yourself, especially the first few weeks, because people will come in with different like prep work. Some people have done the pre-med course, some people had nothing, they only had high school education, so they are at kind of different levels sometimes. And like don't be disencouraged when people seem to be ahead of some anatomy and so on. But you will be covered from zero onwards at this same pace, and you will catch up, or everyone will have the same chances, and it will very quickly even out because the pace is very fast. And yeah, don't be discouraged when you have the feeling that you're behind or you're not doing something like other people are doing, or yeah, really find your own study mode and the way you prefer it. It takes a few weeks, and don't be afraid to fail or failure. At med school, you will probably fail a few small or big exams. I also did, I think. Yeah, it happens. Like, and yeah, it's really natural. Yeah. Don't be afraid of that.
All of the people that are sitting here are in higher years of their study, you know, so this is proof that it can be done. All right, anyone else, anything else you would like to add? Veronika, yeah.
Like, for me it was before I came to HK very overwhelming. Like, okay, in a big city, not big city, but like without parents, you leave your friends behind, you leave your family behind. You don't know what you actually expect, but what I learned about HK is that you never feel alone, even like you're maybe overwhelmed with the study-wise, like we're all in the same boat, we all are going through the same stuff, so yeah, and plus HK is really safe. Yeah.
True. Very true. People from huge cities might be even boring, you know, like nothing of that kind of exciting sort happens here. We're just like normal students do.
I'm in my 6th year, so I'm a few months away from being a doctor, and if I and if someone will ask me if I do this again, I would definitely say yes. I think a lot of us, not everyone, but a lot of us, can recommend to come here. It's a lot of fun, even though it's hard sometimes. And yeah, I think most of us will shed a tear or two when we leave this place.
Oh, I don't want to think about that even. I miss you so much. But that's a great takeaway message, you know, and reassuring too, to know that like even though it can be hard and it will be a mix of a lot of things and demanding, you will gain some great friends here, some amazing experience, and yeah, that will no one will take away from you. So yeah, that's from us in HK to you guys, to wherever you are. And we have promised a virtual tour. So if some of you guys still stick around, I will open up the 3D models now, and we will go through them together and just make suggestions what we want to show them. Do you have something in mind that we want to show them?
What do you have?
Everyone wants to see the dissection rooms. I don't know why.
It's boring without, like, it's just a table.
Yeah, but we have, you know, they have asked 3 times about the real bodies, you know, and stuff. So dissection seems to be a big thing. We will try to take a peek into the dissection rooms. Then we can, I don't know, we can visit the dean's office. We can see
study room where they will spend a lot of time, like Tuesday or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think maybe the simulation center would be maybe interesting.
Yeah, let's give it a shot then. All right, so here we just need to switch to this one, and Teams, I will just switch the screens so you guys can see the same thing. Yep. All right. Okay. So what we mentioned is that we have a virtual tour on our faculty web page where you can find these 3 buildings, and we will take you through the doll houses. So this is what it looks like. This is the educational center that we have seen in the video. This is the library, medical library, where Marwan and Akshuta has shot their video.
Yeah.
This is the main building, the big one, the theoretical department we are at right now. Yeah?
This is so cool.
Agreed. And you can find it on our webpage, so if you want to, and I will post the links into the event as well, so then you can check it out. What this allows us to do, actually, is to pick a place and to just, like, fly in there. So we set simulation center, right? Oh my! And here we go. So this is our SimMan 3D, where you could see me and Professor Rudolf as well in the videos, where the simulations take place. And if you check out the video that we have on our YouTube channel, you will also see the example of teaching that takes place there, and have a better idea how that goes. This is meant for like smaller groups of students to practice outside the hospital, very hospital-like situations. So they can train the stress and the procedures to do and to take actions while being in a safe environment, not actually exposing any real patients to any kind of danger. Yeah. What we can do here as well is to look behind the scenes, because this place is actually managed from this operating room where the professors or assistants are sitting and they're managing the programs of the simulator, who can they can speak on its behalf, so they react to your treatment, they overview the logs to see what kind of treatment you have administered, what kind of effect it has on the patient's health, whether you are approaching the situation of like stabilizing the patient, or whether you are harming him more or her. Yeah, so he can blink, he sweats, he talks, he breathes, he has basic life functions that are monitored throughout the whole exercise. And you're usually here in a team of 3 people. One is the leader of the team, and the others are helping out with the necessary actions that need to be taken to resolve the crisis with the patient's health. We have other rooms as well. If we go through the corridor, we can see the multi-purpose room, where you also practice resuscitation and other scenarios. You can see the figurines for that. You can even do like races in resuscitation to see whether you are doing everything correctly. If you do, your little car is moving forwards faster than the others. And that's how you can confirm that you're doing things correctly. Okay. What else did we wanted to show? The dissection rooms, right? You mentioned. So that would be here. This is a shortcut, so I don't have to fly out, even though the dollhouse looks very cool. This is way faster. And here we go. So this is the dissection room that you would see in the first year during anatomy classes. And if we get out,
I think maybe if you can go to the end of the class, we can show them a new specimen that the university recently purchased, like that.
This guy.
Yes, yeah. I think it's a new tool, and it's really useful. Like, I was surprised by the quality of it.
Yeah.
It's one of the benefits of studying in a faculty where you have actual mannequins and actual cadavers to look at.
You have that?
Yeah, it's recent.
What does it do?
Things are moving forward.
It's
It doesn't do anything. It's just.
Sorry, specimen, I think.
It's a model.
It's a model, and you can unfold it layer by layer. It's really cool.
It's an actual human body preserved.
But preserved in a really professional way.
And we can also see another seminar room here at Anatomy, where we have a new virtual dissection table. Also something that is very new, and unfortunately you guys did not get to use that during your studies. I'm so sorry, but it's like, that's a fresh thing here. You can see it in the video as well, right next to Professor Rudolf in the video for general medicine. So that's also something that will improve the teaching in the future. What we wanted to, like, newly reconstructed seminar rooms and lecture rooms and the 3rd floor that have been opened in the beginning of this academic year, basically. And some of the teaching takes place there, and they're open also for self-study. Okay. All right. What else? Study departments. They will probably not be interested in study department right now, but it's in this building here. Let's say we have covered this building, right? For the sake of like a short introduction, we can still see the library and the place where, for example, Marwan was in the first half of the video, to see the gallery for like concerts and some events that we do. So that's also part of our premises, our buildings. What else in the library? Study room?
Maybe where the books are as well, and the journals. I think it's interesting.
So, where the books are is here. That's where that video was shot then. That's something that you can like take your books from the shelf for studying. That we have a study font basically where you can borrow it for the whole semester, right, if you need to. And here is the study room where you can go for self-study. There's also a PC room right next to it. This building has also quite awesome inner yard that you can use to sit on the benches, have a snack, relax, study out in the fresh air if you want to. Okay, that was a quick tour of the library. And now the educational center, which is in the faculty hospital area, and this tunnel actually connects it to the university hospital. So everything is close by when you go for your practicals. Here we wanted to show, this was also in the video, that's the like the part of the library that is in the educational center. PC room we have seen. Maybe check out the lecture hall that we have there. This is what it looks like.
Also, there's changing rooms there with lockers, so you can.
We have those too. I don't know whether that's something that you want to look at.
No, not look at, just so that people know that, like, you can leave your stuff there before you go to practicals and hospitals, so you don't.
That's true. Yeah. This is the place that we're talking about. Okay. Alright, anything else you want to share? I think that we have basically covered like the most important things. Do you have anything that you would like to see? I have seen it all. And they have too. This is one of the seminar rooms there in the educational center. Yeah? Alright. Alright. So we will just say bye on a camera and conclude this because it's been almost 3 hours. It's been very, very long. Okay, so I will just here in Teams, I will move to the camera as well. We thank you all for staying with us this long, for paying attention, asking questions, and if you want to know more, we have answered quite a lot throughout these 3 hours of our meeting, so we will upload the recordings on our YouTube. You will find it here on Facebook as well, so you can definitely check it and get further info there. If you have missed it, if you have just joined, or if you came halfway through, don't worry, you won't miss anything. We will upload all the videos that we have played today, and also the one that we have made from this session. Alright, you guys, that's it. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. Yeah, very cute wave. Have a great day, thank you, and hopefully see you in HK.